Ah, you know what I should have done? Hang on. I should have sound checked. No one could hear you. Hang on. We're gonna take it from the top, everyone. Yep, that was just gonna happen. I knew something was gonna happen. Okay, give me one,
Oh.
two. Yeah, okay, we're good. All right, take it again. No one saw that.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Right. All right.
Yeah, we're good.
Cool. Welcome to Mr. Nathan's Neighborhood, the show that has flawless technology at all times. And today we have guests. Today joining us we have Brett, Bert, Beret, and a multitude of other names he's known by and called. And we also have Jangular with us today. Today we are discussing. Oh, we have Castor. Hello, at the adult
Hi.
table. Today we have a very special program planned, which never usually happens, and so to value our guests' time, we are going to minimize banter and we're going to jump right into it. So, just because I am a left to right kind of guy, I am going to start with Brett. Who are you, and why should we care?
Hi, I'm Brett, and the multitude of name tags in front of me should fill in any other names at this time. The cart, not really sure about that one, but it's there. So that does cover also the 2D adventures, I suppose. Sometimes I may show up as. I do Nerf, I do games, I do commentary, I do a lot of things, and I've been doing those things for wow. What is it? Every year I say the number, and then the year passes and it gets older. Holy cow! Has it been? Are we almost at like the 20-year mark? No, not that close. Okay, we're getting closer though. Woo! But it's been well over a decade, probably closer to 15 years now, since posting anything online and sharing those thoughts. So, a lot of experience now, and I've seen a lot of different types of Nerf, and if you think that gives me credibility, then that's great, and if you don't, then that's cool too. I guess you can listen from other people then. But I'd like to believe that I have interesting thoughts.
Your first video was 13 years ago on YouTube.
From this channel.
From this channel.
From this channel, yes.
Do you have a secret channel we don't know about?
Depends on who you talk to. It's not so secret if they know, and it depends on which one they know, but basically the oldest things that exist on other channels would just be like raw gameplay footage, which the first things on this channel are also slightly edited gameplay footage. So close to raw gameplay, but basically just some dudes goofing around with their magazine-fed elite blasters. So, but there do exist things that are pre-elite. So,
interesting.
That's something. Yeah.
Well, cool. So what got you started? Like what you are nerfing now and quite experienced, but what led you into it? I mean, everybody as a very young child probably had a Nerf gun, but what brought you in a later phase? Do we just lose Jang?
Whoa,
Hello.
Nerf blaster.
My Mozilla just crashed.
Oh, good.
So
Is
I'm
Jang in the
invisible
room
for
right
now. Sorry.
Okay, it's cool.
Seat taken. Can I scoot closer to him?
Oh yeah, here. We can yeah, you just go like
Just
Hey. Oh no, I'm sitting. This is my spot.
Okay.
My spot.
That's really going to complicate a lot of things.
No,
Oh no,
fine.
layering. What's going? Anyway, so
He can sit behind the chair.
Yeah,
Sorry, that was a question. Could you
weird.
partially repeat that question? I was too obsessed with playing musical chairs.
Would you like the first half or last half?
The last half.
Okay. As an adult, more or less. What? Oh gosh. Hey, Jang. Welcome back.
Daddy.
What got you back? What re-inspired your involvement in Nerf as a hobby?
Re-inspired me. Let's just readjust my seating as I think about that. You know, the funny thing is that ever since I started playing and being interested, it kind of never stopped. The only thing that sort of dipped my, what would be considered, involvement and paying attention to things was guess, going to college a little bit. And the reason was that I just didn't find a club at college. And so I did some outreach and tried to form some events and groups, and those received mixed results. So I wasn't, instead of that kind of skyrocketing my, I don't want to say career because it's not a career, but instead of that kind of skyrocketing my involvement and my sort of like participation in the wider scene, because back then that's when the kind of like online scene was taking off in a different way. This is all, post like Nerf Haven stuff, but
Yeah.
at that time that would have been a great time for me to, I don't know, like really rev up. But it took a few years for me to then discover, hey, where I currently am and where I'm like not driving to is not working. So I'm kind of gonna live vicariously through other people online. And I often say that a lot of the times how I approach videos too is like I make them for the kind of younger me that wasn't able to go to games at that time, and part of that can be like before getting more involved in the hobby stuff, like in middle school when I first was introduced, but also that time like while I was in college and thinking like, man, I'm seeing all these other clubs doing cool stuff. Some of my friends from high school are in the Bay Area and they're going to cool things. And that's me punching Jangular in a loving way because my friends were playing with him and I was like, I'm jealous. I can't do this all the time. And so I would be like, man, I want to be able to do this stuff. And so I hoped that after a little bit of that dive and every now and then coming back and seeing those folks, I would get more involved in the coming years. And that's when the Pacific Northwest Nerf Club actually formed. But that was like at the end of college for me, and it wasn't like the start of more things. So it was a bit of a lull. But I never like lost interest. I never stepped away really and then came back with like a big, all right, I'm back because I got bored and now it's cool. So I've watched things for a while. It's just you haven't always seen me sort of outspoken about every little detail, which is fine.
So it's pretty much an unbroken chain from 8-year-old Brett being like, "Hey, I got this Nerf gun. This is great," and then you just
Couple
like
years,
carry that with you the
couple
whole
years,
time.
yeah.
But
I'd say like they're more. I see more like younger ones getting into it. Because I got into it as like basically right at the end of preteen, so early teens was my time. But yeah, basically since that time, I've never been like super detached from it. I've never taken like years off and then been surprised at a new product. Even if I'm like, even right now, if I'm not actively posting something like once a week, I'm still paying attention to stuff for the most part. But things move so fast nowadays, I couldn't be like challenged to quote all of it. But yes, I've been more or less involved for long time.
Interesting. Well, that's kind of cool. So what is, I guess, what keeps you coming back? What is your favorite aspect of the hobby? What is Nerf to you? What is your like ideal Nerfing? Where does your heart sit in Nerf?
And that's the thing that brings me back, or the reason that I don't necessarily walk away is sometimes you meet people in this little hobby and you're like, I guess I'll stay to hang out with you. I don't have any other reason to talk to you other than Nerf, he said sort of jokingly. But it's true. There are some people who I've met through this hobby that are worth still keeping in touch with, and then sometimes their conversations are related to Nerf stuff and sometimes they're not. But also more on the topic of actual hobby stuff. It's the diversity of everything. That's what I've always expressed that I have an interest in. I love that we've gotten to a point where you can explore so many different aspects of everything, be it competitive, casual. For an HVZ enthusiast, you come in for the lore, you stay for the goof. There's so much that you can sort of like digest all at once, or you can kind of just focus in one direction and you should be eating good. And if you get bored of one thing, no one's stopping you from switching to another. I know we'll probably talk about where certain people say, oh, this is dead, there's too much of this, but realistically, we know that if you know where to look, you can probably find that stuff. So I love, especially for going to events, that usually you can kind of approach it however you see fit. And I guess like events as well is what keeps me coming back, and I've always had some sort of access to stuff. Backing up a little bit, I suppose one reason that maybe I was, again, not like super active in college is because I couldn't find the events, and so starting them was difficult, and it had mixed experiences when, public safety on campus was like, hey, you can't do this. And it's like, well, okay. That makes things a challenge. So not having events to go to is always going to be, in my opinion, a bit of a stop when I got into all of this stuff because I liked to play. I
Mhm.
picked stuff up, but I had people to play with initially, and that's what really got me interested. So always having some sort of event on the horizon, and now we have so much access to event knowledge that, I can make a decision if I want to travel a little bit further, which is a really cool opportunity. So that is what really keeps me invested, and it keeps it from getting boring because you can the different locations, different ways you can play, and yeah, things move so fast now. I feel like it's hard to really get bored on new releases, but I can see how some things get stale in certain people's minds.
Yeah, right on.
Hmm.
Okay. Take a minute and get Jang all kind of caught up with everything. Who are you exactly, and why should we care, or why should I guess the viewers care if they're less familiar?
I am Jang. As for why people should care, it's a good question. I used to make videos. I don't really much anymore. Right now, I do competitive stuff, kind of trying to build that scene up within the hobby and see how big we can build it and how many people we can reach with it and just expand the hobby through different means than just our kind of standard games that people, may have gotten used to or come to think of when it comes to our hobby as of the last 10 to 15 years.
Okay. And how long have you been actively nerfing?
Probably around 14 or 15 years at this point. Uh, I say I found the hobby proper about 2013. Me and some friends have been doing some things prior to that. Like we learned about modding and we'd have our own little games, but I didn't learn that like there was an active community until like 2013.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so you kind of hit the ground running because I think I got in around about 2014, and you were like cemented. You were like established.
I
So
don't waste time, I guess, when I get hooked on something.
that's fair. That's fair. So did you have any youthful experience with Nerf, and then did you have that being an adult for a while and rediscovering it, or were you more like Brett and it just kind of was always present? And I guess did you have it that early point of it's just Nerf, and then rediscovery of oh Nerf, whoa.
You absolutely had the dark age where I didn't even really think about it existing because like I don't know, I just wasn't advertised to me or I wasn't paying attention to it. And then like early 20s, it just like appeared. We were like at a Target or a Toys R Us or something. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
the Nerf aisle. This would be
Huh.
fun to mess around with. And we bought
Yeah.
some and started doing things. And and then just it snowballs from there.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So it was just more of a casual occurrence that happened in the store. It wasn't like any kind of weird movement of any kind
Yeah,
that brought you into it. You just discovered it and went, oh, and found that rabbit hole right away.
exactly. It did take long for Google to do its thing.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Um, so what is your favorite aspect of the hobby? Like what really grabbed you and pulled you in? What is Nerf to you? What speaks to your Nerf heart?
I mean, I could answer this in two ways. The grander scale is community, because I've met a lot of fantastic people. The other side of it is competition. Anything I do, I tend to try and find like a competitive side of it. And
Yeah.
so when it didn't exist for this hobby, like, well, can we make it? And that's kind of been my thing for the last 12 years.
Okay. So is that are you? I mean, it sounds like you're a naturally competitive person. Do you have any background in sports or other even like shooting sports or anything, or is it just you just really play hardcore board games and you just naturally brought that over, or what is your competitive background that you brought into the Nerf aspect of things?
I mean, I had the standard kind of sports youth, growing up playing sports throughout. And then once I finished high school and wasn't able to play sports, I started doing esports. And then it was like, well, Counter Strike kind of like nerfing. So if we just kind of mash those together, then maybe we got something.
Okay, well, cool. So it's kind of just a natural progression of things of, now I'm nerfing. How do I make it competitive when that's just your natural inclination towards things? Okay,
Exactly.
cool. All right, on. We're going to move back to Brett. Brett, you're kind of known for having a weird influence on the hobby, dressing like bananas and other things, wearing costumes and acting strangely, having multiple personalities and other potentially like clinical problems. So
Undiagnosed, yeah.
what, what brought you to the weird side of things? Are you just naturally weird the way Jang is naturally competitive, and you're like, how can I do weird things here? How can I be?
Wild comparison. Ooh.
How dare you?
Yeah, on the scale of Jang into sports, are you this into weird? Oh no, that could be
Yes.
a dangerous thing to agree to because I know how much this man loves sports. And the funniest thing is that a lot of people assume maybe like what my background is or how I kind of was brought up to be like, "Oh, so you were in theater or something, right?" No, like
Theater kid.
I theater kid, super into what was it called? Improv. And the answer is no. And it's really funny because I found some more of that stuff more interesting years later. Like I have always been relatively quiet and shy, and there's plenty of instances where you'll see that on display. But
Mhm.
there was something about kind of like the years of experience and getting more familiar with stuff that made me like, oh, I can sort of express myself a little bit differently here, and I felt comfortable going to games, and I sort of recognized it's like, hey, this is lighthearted, goofy, silly. At a certain point, when you are of that age and you're still playing with, what are quite obviously toys, and you haven't made the quote unquote natural progression to a real man's toy. So they say, right? So like I've always approached it and seen that like, hey, I'm getting into this at a not child's age all the way, right? Like teenager and up, but then at that point, by the time I was really really integrated into stuff, I was an adult, like legally. So
Yeah.
I recognized that there was something goofy about that, but it was fun and kind of like similar to how Jang made a connection to sports and Nerf. Like it is kind of a sport, we can make this competitive. I've always seen that it is kind of like the sport, like it's a you play Nerf like it's a video game, which means that you can have your crazy skins, you can do the parkouring at your own risks to varying levels of success. So there are people who play it like it is the new Call of Duty, great game, please go buy, I hear good reviews. But also there are people who play it like Fortnite, and great game, I hear, go buy it. No, that one's free. You can really approach it in so many different ways, and so I found just so much joy in approaching it from, hey, I'm born near Halloween. I like dressing up in things, and you can always sort of come to a Nerf game with a costume and have a toy blaster, and it really is not weird. It might be weird if you bring that to an airsoft game, and people will judge you and have questions if it's not like themed. But for Nerf,
Yeah.
it's not too out there, I would like to say.
Well, that's fair. So it's basically we're already being weird. Why not be just a little bit weirder and see how far you can get away with?
Yeah, and then filtering that into like the playing the games, because speaking to the loadouts themselves, a lot of them are also kind of weird, but that's fun, and
Mhm.
so you can match it to the loadout, or the loadout's neutral. Sorry, the blaster itself is neutral, and then you can give it personality, and then we
Yeah.
obviously start modding it, and you can give it whatever personality you want. But like to dress the Roblox Viper Strike, that's a snake. That's kind of silly. That's fun. Like, how can you realistically bring that to an event and say, like, this is serious, guys? You cannot, and I don't think you should. So, yeah, with what has always been available, even if at the time, getting in like the mid 2010s, like, really, really playing and stuff and being aware of
Yeah.
what existed, you can look back and see some really cool stuff that had that vintage personality. And we got animals. We got what else did we got? We got other stuff. Like, we got robot like cyber stuff. So there's always been so much to look back on too and say, hey, this is a goofy idea, and you could either play with that competitively or not. You can just bring it out and be a goof. So I feel like there's always been options and good ways to sort of play silly, and it's been very easy to just kind of ride with that over the years because it's never really stopped. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about how some modern offerings are maybe not fully in line with that, but it's still I think there's still always going to be some sort of offerings that make it pretty easy to see that as a natural path to play. And let's also fully address that, yes, obviously I have made some sort of a brand and spectacle out of various loadouts and various costumes out there. I am not the only one who does that. I'm sure there are people who get upset when they're like, "Oh, you're doing like what Brett did." And it's like, "Oh, yes, the very original idea to put on a banana costume and play a game."
You're the first one.
That's right. There's zero proof of anyone else ever doing that. So I know I am not the only one who does this. I know that there are people who do it better as well. HVZ is a great example of where you'll see people put in like
Oh
a
boy.
lot of effort to really cool costumes, or even less effort, and it's even funnier. But
Yeah.
obviously, I've tried a few different things and various characters over the years, so that's all. I see you. Don't worry. I'm not like ignoring other people that do this too.
So you comment that you kind of made a brand out of being silly and wearing costumes, but you're also well known for being a pretty formidable force on the field as well, competitively. How do you kind of balance that as far as making sure you give the people what they expect while still, having fun? Is there any kind of like personally, like if somebody said, "Okay, we're going to go on the field here. We're doing a whatever casual game, or like a not necessarily like a 5v5 kind of thing, but just more of a serious fun game." Somebody gives you weird X banana blaster versus the new piston pump thing. What does your heart naturally gravitate towards? Is it like, is there anything between people expect me to do this, or this is what I really want to do? What does that feel like? What does that look like for
The
you?
people's expectation is, yes, always a consideration, and then there's always I try to hopefully get across to people too. You really got to know like where you're playing and who you're playing with, which is why it's so nice that over the years I've played with a bunch of different groups, and I've gotten to know so many different people who play, and I've obviously gotten to play at a lot of very different places. So there's some spots where you recognize like, hey, this is literally a paintball field. We're playing Nerf on it. You get
Yeah.
to, I guess you can go tactical. Also, like, don't run over that exposed nail. Just like don't be stupid. But also, you're probably wearing something that hopefully keeps you a little bit more protected, and there's better like eye protection requirements too. So like, I'm not gonna be super upset if someone tries their Counter-Strike techniques in real life on that map. But then there are other times when it's like public park game with 8+, and if someone were to give me like, hey, use this momentum and go full auto, like go clear that like corner so we can like take out this side, I'd be like, lol, all right, sure, no, like I don't really care. Like it's all about kind of reading the game, and I'd like to imagine that I'm a pretty good judge of that. And what frustrates me probably the most nowadays is when people don't understand that, because if you put me in like a say competitive 5v5, you guys, we're gonna go play some comp. Brett, are you gonna use a banana loadout? No, like it would be funny, but also in that case you're playing with a team. The focus is to play the game, play the objective, man. And like, I would be literally like disappointing my teammates by doing that. I know when to turn it on and to turn it off. I know when to have respect for the game mode that obviously takes a lot of work.
Mhm.
Costs money. Money is a big part too. Are you paying for this? Like
Yeah.
that should obviously trigger something to be like, "Oh, wait a minute." And then I obviously recognize when, hey, like everyone else on the field is half my age, just saying something. I think I can use something that's half the FPS like cap, and I should be okay. Even and there's also a level 2 where it's like you don't always have to play your heart out. And then other times you can play your heart out with like a really bad blaster. And then you really don't have to feel too bad about like, "Oh, but you did so well." It's like I'm using a blaster that has a third of your FPS. Like I'm allowed to run like myself ragged and try and play super sweaty like this because I'm still at a disadvantage. At the same time, that some people, I'm sure some people still don't love that part. But that's so I think just kind of like reading the room is really important to me, because I really don't want to come off as like, well, Mr. High and Mighty, like I have years of practice now where I've gotten used to different kinds of blasters. I'll say it right. Yeah, I do have experience with that, and it's made me pretty good at like playing. I'm not the best. I'm not gonna claim to be the best. I know there are people who actually practice nowadays, but I have some semblance of how to play Nerf. I like the short range projectile motion stuffs. But I'm also not going to be an absolute jerk to someone who is playing a Nerf game for the first time in their life and they happen to have a stock end strike blaster and I have something that's twice as powerful. I might walk up like really close to them and shoot near them and then oh no, I'm jammed and somehow they get their first tag. Like read the room. It's important. And if it's a game where nothing matters, then why are you playing this hard? Just have a good time. Because we should always be having a good time. You just gotta figure out how that makes sense for everyone. Participation trophies all around. Yay.
Oh, Yay.
Love
That's about
that.
it. No. Okay, so it's more of just the experience of the game, not necessarily making sure you squash everybody else on the field and stuff like
That's
that. You're just
exactly it. Yeah, much more concise way to put it. Yes, the experience of like being able to go to a game and experience it is, I think, yeah, the most important thing. And like I said before too, that's what's kept me sort of like interested in things for all this time. Just being able to go to an event is great.
Yeah, right on. We're gonna bump back to Jang here. At what point in your career, more or less, in your experience, you said you kind of jumped in pretty quick, but what was kind of that? I remember there's kind of a point, like watching some of your old videos, your loadouts back when everything was full length. There was no, that's just all we knew. That's what you were working with. At what point did you? There was a push where it was just suddenly it seemed like out of nowhere you're like, you know what, we have to take this to the next level, and there's kind of a break almost where that's when you made the really big push, or at least we're more outspoken about making the push towards outright competitive, like serious hardcore. What at what point was that in your mind of no, we need to make this bigger, and here's how I'm going to do it?
Maybe 2 months.
Oh, jeez.
It
Oh,
was very
wow.
fast. Like we had a very good group of people in our local games, the Burn games, which
Oh,
was
those
like,
were awesome videos. I missed
yeah,
that.
that group was phenomenal, which Brett was part of,
Hmm.
and we had so many good
Big
players.
YouTuber.
We had so many good players that came from things like airsoft and paintball that had been playing things competitively, that a lot of the games sort of felt competitive in terms of teamwork and coordination and whatnot. So it wasn't a far leap to be like, well, what if we just had organized teams?
Yeah.
And so, I remember starting the conversation at like a dinner after a game, and then things just kind of slowly built from there.
Okay. So was it a lot more of kind of behind the scenes stuff that you were kind of working on? Because, like I said, watching your old videos, it felt very much like your technology kind of matched what was the current norm for the time. Were you just like under the surface, just like doing all the hard work of trying to figure out how we're going to make this, uh, you know, hardcore, I guess, right?
Going
For lack of a better word.
sport wise,
Yeah.
there's a couple things. So when I started kind of wanting to lean that way and get things going, I then had some health issues kind of flare up again. So I had to kind of put a lot of things on the back burner, and I didn't make as many games. So like the content kind of stagnated and all that. So
Yeah.
between that, like summer 2013 to when we actually started testing our first games, which was like 2016, I basically had to kind of take a back seat
Yeah.
on pushing that forward. So it was like it would have started a lot earlier, and
Oh, wow.
had I been able to, because we had people interested and invested in the idea. There was a group in Sacramento running a game called Tac Ops that was like a team focused kind of gameplay style. So like it wasn't that out of the norm for something like that to then pop up. So
Okay.
um, a bummer it didn't start as soon because I think we would have had more teams from that San Francisco area that some of them
Yeah.
kind of filtered out in that interim. But
Yeah.
yeah, 2016 is when things really started to ramp up.
Okay. And so I know there's kind of I think it kind of mostly happened like over COVID when there's really that, I guess, revolution in super available half-length stuff. So you were prepared to go gung-ho with full-length, mod, actual, like, I guess, super stock-based blasters, because we didn't really have anything that was scratch-built. 3D printing was still science fiction. Worker didn't exist quite yet. So you're just prepared to go, all the way 110% with the existing technology.
Yeah,
Cool.
our initial rule set, the FPS cap was 130 FPS.
Oh, that's cool.
People are like,
I
that's too hard.
That was normal though. That's
Yeah.
that's so hard to think about nowadays.
It was perfectly reasonable at the time. Granted, we did have outliers in the Bay Area games. We had people that
yeah.
could shoot 250 to 300 at the time.
Well, yeah, was it Thundercrunk had that
Yeah, had the
compound
bow.
that would shoot Busby stickies?
Yeah, we had
Was
Mitch who
Zing
had
bows?
oh god, the Zing bows, those are dangerous.
Those
Uh,
outlawed yet?
Yeah, we had a Mitch who had like a 300 FPS long shot that the barrel was so long he had 3 recon barrels to cover the brass. It was a lot of jank, but I mean that was the early 2010s.
Yeah, that's what the hobby was back then.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go ahead and put this take out there. 130 FPS is actually still 100% fine for a competitive format. There is nothing wrong with that FPS range. People just like higher FPS because darts go faster and it's fun, and there's some things you can do. You can reach a little bit further, but if you balance around it, there's nothing wrong with 130 or 150 FPS for a cap for competing. It's just not what people want currently.
Yeah, well, in today's day and age, 300 FPS is about 3 clicks and a credit card away, and so
Yeah.
that was not the case back then for sure. And so anymore, it's almost like I personally like playing at a lower FPS because it does create a lot more of it just seems a lot more dynamic personally. But I don't know. I miss being able to dodge darts.
Oh, I do
Instead of
too.
just like you peek out behind cover and you're instantly hit. You had the chance to kind of jump out, duck a little bit, then get to cover, and the darts would go out that way or whatever. And so yeah, dart technology and everything seemed to kind of match.
Isn't that just because we
that.
got old, so now we're slow?
No.
No,
Or
it's the
interpret-
kids
no.
that are old now.
It's the
So
Yeah.
you're not necessarily the strong proponent of how fast can we make it. You're more just in the let's just give it structure.
balance is always the most important thing to me. What I personally want is irrelevant when it comes to game like design or whatnot.
Yeah.
It's what is going to be best for the game, for
Yeah.
the players, and for spectators. I think that's something that is a whole other topic. Like, we design games for ourselves, but if we want this
Yeah.
to be a sport, it needs to be spectator friendly. So that's
Fair.
always something that you have to keep in the back of your mind and consider, like, is this going to be boring to watch? And if the answer is yes, well, maybe we should reevaluate it.
Okay. So in that on that thread, what are your opinions on it? The status of essentially what have you created? How do you feel about what you have wrought on the hobby?
Explain yourself.
Baby.
Like,
I
is this what you wanted, or
Don't
is
put
it
this
a bit
all on me.
different than what you wanted? No, I'm. I know there's been other people who have wanted a competitive thing, but I don't think anybody has tried as hard as you and actually backed it up with action. That's why you're here.
I appreciate there's a lot of people who've done a lot of things. I just maybe am the most vocal about it. But I think the unfortunate pandemic years certainly put a damper on some things in terms of growth. 2019 was looking like 2020 was going to be an incredible year for growth. And yeah, I mean, we had plans for 2020, 21 to do some really cool things. That all got scrapped. But the good news is one of the big issues was that there weren't as enough groups kind of hosting things and building things on their own. That's
Yeah.
changing. That has changed significantly in the last 5 years, which I am thrilled about. People are building things in their own groups, doing things their own way, and that's um, really what we need. Like, we can try and do things from like the top down and be like, here's how we should all play. And that's
Yeah.
honestly kind of how I approached things, 10 years ago. Starting out was like, if we had a governing body that like everybody could just be like, oh, there's the rules, there's how we do things. I don't have to think. We'll just build it.
Yeah.
It would make it easier. And in some hobbies, maybe, but in this hobby, that doesn't work. People love tinkering. They love building their own things. So building their own game formats and field layouts and cover types, that's all going to be part of this. So what we need currently and has been happening is the grassroots side. Things need to go bottom up
Yeah.
instead of the other way around. And that's happening and it's great. And then, you know, 5+ years from now, we'll hit a critical point where we can go, okay, we have representation all across the country and in various other countries that are well populated and they can host their own events. Now we can look at kind of trying to organize in a way that benefits everyone. So that's kind of where I'm at in terms of where the competitive scene is. There's a lot of really good things happening, and I'm really thankful to all of the people that are putting in that effort to build those groups.
Okay, so we're basically allowing things to naturally grow, and whatever ends up on top by nature is kind of, you're letting the market decide essentially. Instead of saying this is the way we're going to do it, you're basically letting the best man win essentially. And when that is the obvious winner, you say, okay, that seems to work the best. Maybe that's what we'll structure or base everything off of a little bit more.
Yeah, it's what will happen, I think, is a lot of the organizers will come together and talk about, what works, what doesn't work. And I personally would very much like to see a large like our my goal has always been to have a world championship where the best teams qualify, they play. And I think as this has been progressing, instead of one game type, I think we should have multiple game types in a tournament of that scale. So it's not just
Interesting.
the best team at Flag Dash or King of the Hill, it's the
Yeah.
best team in our hobby.
Around it.
So,
Ah.
you play like 3 different competitive formats that are all a little bit different. And that
Yeah.
way, or, however many we have, and that way you really truly find the best of the best.
More of a
So-
triathlon kind of thing.
With the World
Where you have
Championship,
to-
I want to interject. What's the
Please
what's the dream location? You have the World Championship. Where's not the feasible location, the dream location?
It depends because when are we hosting it? So if we're hosting it during the summer, we can host outdoors, which is really nice as long as you don't have wind to deal with and crazy kind of
Mm.
whatnot. Indoors, a large convention center is probably going to be the best option, or a big sports dome. Because if we're going to do multiple formats, we need multiple fields set up at the same time. So you need a massive amount of space, which a lot of places indoors aren't going to offer. So options are very limited. But probably US based would be the call, since we do currently have the largest density of
Yeah.
the competitive scene.
Fair.
LA
So
2028.
Vegas. I was gonna say the Vegas sports was that there's a football
Oh
field.
God,
Yeah.
that would be probably miserable.
Ah.
Vegas.
The year after the Olympics, when all the
Oh.
sports arenas
That's
are
true.
empty.
Oh.
I
And
joked
they
that
have
it was
no
the same
purpose.
time. Then they've got no
Ooh.
purpose right after that. Yeah.
Get this man another hat. That's great.
Brett's
Brilliant.
thinking.
Yeah.
It's got that.
Although I
five-
don't know if are they building more spaces for
Yes.
the Olympics? Okay, yeah, see, so there you go. They'll have plenty
That's
of
It's all
space.
just going to
In
get done in the dome.
Portable city. Let's
Hmm.
do it.
Yeah, we can rent that out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
we got the budget.
Yeah, you said
Easy.
that's a little under 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll just, we'll talk to Luke.
Yeah. Come on, Daddy Darts, hook us up with that sweet, sweet
I'm
dart
wearing a
money.
shirt. You
Yeah,
can pay for this now,
sponsor.
right?
Ah. So with I guess competitive's pretty much fully adopted half lengths. You know, that whole revolution we had there, kind of pandemic era, and especially even with Nerf removing the full length 50 caliber dart. What is we're kind of opening up to more of a group discussion now of what is kind of the future of the hobby. I mean, Nerf proper Hasbro is going towards the in one dart thing, and we don't know exactly what they're doing, and I'm not sure they even know what they're doing. It seems like the majority of other blaster companies are going towards, almost seem to be putting more effort towards half length blasters than full length or compatible blasters. Is Are we going to be witnessing kind of the end of the full length dart, or even just the novelty blaster of sorts? Like, I guess my thing is, and the purpose of my grand discussion of bringing in the great minds here is we seem to be having a greater divide between the kind of silly Nerf, lighthearted Nerf, and competitive Nerf. And we actually had a discussion after our sound check yesterday, Caster and I, and I think I've been calling it fun Nerf versus like serious Nerf. And I'm not saying that competitive isn't fun, because you, honestly, you can't not have fun nerfing. I mean, nobody gets on the field. You get a hobo off the street, hand them a Nerf blaster, say, "Hey, come play with us for 3 rounds." They're going to have a good time. They're going to have fun. They're not going to walk away saying this was lame. But I think the difference is, and I finally figured out what the word is. I think there's more joy in silly Nerf. I know in our local games, everybody is trying to hit that 300 plus number now. Everybody's out buying worker products and everything, but we always try to have kind of a break in the middle where we stop, kind of cool down a little bit. We'll either do like Mega XL. We'll have Vortex rounds, stuff like that. Just bring everything way back to something more fun and silly. We'll play like a couple rounds of Carpe, or a bit more of a lighthearted game, and everybody is laughing, like not like having fun, but there's so much more laughing, giggling, hooting and hollering. Then we go back to the competitive stuff, the high power stuff. People are having fun, but they're just very serious. And so there seems to be a bigger divide between the two. And I guess, what are we getting to the point where they're almost two separate hobbies, or can they coexist? I know I've seen a few of Brett, a few of your more recent-ish videos, like the Lazy Uncle Nerf Club, where you're trying to run kind of I think you're running like an ultra loadout. You're doing some kind of silly stuff, and you're kind of muttering under your breath of getting zinged from like a Harrier or something like that. And it's like you're getting to the point where you can't move. You can't even get close enough to get into an engagement range. Can the blasters coexist on the same field? Is there? I did frame this originally as like a debate video, only like out of just jest. We're not really debate. I just want to have a discussion of two of the greatest minds in each camp of what does this actually look like? What does the future of the hobby look
Great
like? I know
minds. We are the great minds.
Yeah, the greatest minds.
it's the
And
best I could do.
greatest.
I
why
like you
not?
guys.
Why not a debate? We throw them in a cage. They're in a steel cage. Cage match.
ready.
It's all
Last night
ready
we
to
were in
go.
Prep, and today we want us to fight.
Fight.
But like I said, what is the fate of the full length dart? What is the fate of is low powered Nerf going to be kind of relegated to 8-year-old birthday parties, and half lengths is just what, you're only hitting 250? That's so weak and dumb. We're up here at the 550s in our games. What does that actually look like? I'm kind of looking like on the graph of FPS, things are just, there's no end in sight at this point. So what do things look like? Like what are your thoughts in your experiences? What are we looking at?
I think they need each other. I think we have to have both. If we don't have normal games where you can goof around and have fun, then people are going to stop showing up. It can't all be high powered, high speed, the biggest FPS numbers. Even at our high FPS games, we still have, the awfuls rounds or low, rate of fire, or whatever reasons to play with not super overpowered stuff. So I think we need to continue to have both types of games and just understand what game you're at. Like Brett was saying earlier, he nailed it 100% with just getting the vibe of whatever game you're going to. If it's an all ages game, it's time to goof around and have fun and laugh and do some random things. If you're going to Maryland foam tournament, it's probably time to lock in a little bit more. But otherwise, like if you can't enjoy both, then, or at least appreciate both for doing what they do for the hobby, then we're going to lose them. You don't have to, have both as your favorite thing, but understand that they need to be together and coexist for the health of our hobby, I think.
Okay, so it's kind of a yin and yang kind of thing.
Yeah.
Equal opposites of, you need equal silly energy and equal competitive energy.
Yeah. Some of my favorite moments are the silly things, dumping 2 mag strikes at someone and seeing them just freeze, deer in the headlights look. Not a single dart hit them, but just that moment, like, I will remember it forever because it was hilarious. And like things like that, just those are great moments and reasons I stayed in the hobby, because I was having fun with people. I love competition. That's my favorite thing. But I also love just having fun with friends.
Okay, so even you, the most known for being a competitive guy, you have to have balance. You have to have a little bit of everything.
Absolutely. Sorry to maybe kick the teeth in on the debate idea.
I mean, I can throw
Honestly,
the cage back, and you guys can just keep punching.
Age.
Honestly, it's been a discussion we've had in our local group and in like our admin group of, I honestly, I am the one pushing the hardest for, let's do silly things. Can we just bring it down? Can we drop the FPS to like sub 100 this month? Well, then we're probably not going to get these other 3 or 4 guys because they mostly have high-powered stuff, and that's what they're here for. And so, I guess honestly, I'm kind of like coming to you guys saying, hey, how can I realistically bring this to my local group and say, what is the balance? What is, I don't know, what are we kind of looking at moving forward? And honestly,
was that the secret thing behind this? Is you just needed help running your local game, so you got Brett and Jang on for like a podcast? But in reality, it's like help.
Unpaid, like
Damn.
honestly, it worked. Well, I think it's good just to have the conversation for just the community in general, because I hear people talking about this to each other, but nobody's having the big conversation. And so it's kind of a cool, I'm just going to grab this, throw it out in the open and say, look at it. What are we going to do here? Is this something I need to be concerned about? Or am I making a bigger issue out of it than I really need to? And honestly, Ton just popped up in the chat. Hi, Ton. How you doing? Glad you're joining us. But he says, comp could use its own stock class. And I have honestly considered this in my group of doing, because we started doing like a tournament style. It was like a flag push kind of thing based off of the Space City guys. It was really impressive, and we rapidly outgrew it. But the concept was cool, but I liked the idea of a super stock class where it's, like a 150 cap or something. But because it's almost hard to get something that competitive that shoots that softly, because everything seems like it's like 2+ off the shelf these days. And so it's kind of a weird spot. I think it's awesome to have that if you have the support locally. And like, Ton, is this something that you've been considering? Like, is this something that's going on in your head, or is this kind of a quick thought? I wouldn't
He has
mind
brought
having
it up before.
Okay, that's cool. I would like to have that conversation as well on kind of what you have experienced, because I know you guys have a whole lot more action, like just concentration of different groups in one area, that I'm sure there's a lot of overflow. That would be a cool conversation to be a part of, just kind of, I guess, health of the hobby, health of things in general, how I can help my local group be enriched and stuff like that. But also, when I say my local group, I'm also speaking for anybody who's watching that has the same kind of thoughts or anything like that. I just wanted to get the conversation out.
I was just gonna say, I'd love to see, personally, for videography wise, a kind of super stock 130 or even 100 FPS with the smallest ammo type being a Mega, but the majority using Mega XL, or even like rockets. Make it 100 FPS, but you'd be on a normal GoPro, you'd be able to see that. They're
Oops,
traveling
all
slow
dead
enough.
ammo types.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oops, all dead ammo.
Oops, this
types.
is very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I managed to snag a lot of cheap Mega XL when it came up, so I have a few hundred rounds, and we've
Nice.
actually done like all Mega XL rounds like every couple months at our local group, and it's just whistling everywhere and people
Yeah.
standing 10 feet away.
Yeah.
It's great. Highly recommend.
I will
But-
say on that too, like anytime you bring up, the comment earlier about, Prime, you said, I'm not ready to see full lengths die. There's like, full lengths are not going away anytime soon. The reason that we can say that there are certain dead ammo types and why, certain events like that might be harder to host, where it's like, oh, only relying on this, is because once they're not made anymore, yes, it becomes harder. There's obviously going to be a time where they're still available, and like people are still able to find Mega XL online for a bit too. But we had 3 blasters and that was it. So it's never been like
Yeah.
this long-lasting thing, and it's great we can still find it, but we recognize at a certain point it's going to get hard. Look at Demolisher rockets now, Nerf missiles, whatever. Now it's pretty clear that's tough. There's some knockoffs, not always as great. Some are better. Yeah, you get it. Mega is obviously still around in some capacity online too, so one day it might trickle off if Hasbro doesn't reinvent that wheel. Vortex had its 2 peaks, and so like full lengths though, full lengths have been around for so long, and other companies are still making them. They're not going away anytime soon. Just the less good, the ones that were the most compatible but the least accurate. That's what's going away, because the
fair.
AccuStrike was around short enough that it doesn't even matter anymore anyway. So like, I think when it comes to talking about ammo types to use in games too, would like we outlaw full lengths or from any future events too. It's not going to happen anytime soon. We got to at least through the rest of this decade before I imagine we ever saw an impact on any of that too. Half darts are rising, but full lengths are still going to be here for years, so you can still design around them, use them in games, be it competitive or casual stuff. So I think that's good, but there are some ammo types that are like now when people say like, well, why can't we do like a Vortex competition? Why aren't people using Vortex for some of this stuff? It's like, gee, I could tell you, but I think you can think about it for 5 seconds and know what's like the reason. Why doesn't people use old school mega darts for stuff too? Like that starts to become more.
Boomco.
Yeah, Boomco. Boomco's in a weird spot with that too, where you can kind of still find it, but not always for the best price. But sometimes you can find lots of old stuff. Yeah. So I think that type of that caliber of dart, that diameter of dart is still going to be, I think, still a pretty common design or a game design focus for the future. Between the fold, between the half, that's where we can start maybe debating a little bit. But that's don't worry about it.
Is there a viable reason for full lengths? Like I enjoy full lengths just because you have that wacky dynamic of, like when I first got in the hobby, I liked the idea that you could shoot somebody and you could be aiming right at them, but if the dart decides to go somewhere else, all bets are off. And so it was really a natural balancing thing where a good player is always going to be a better player, just being able to move around mostly because half of the game is dodging. But I liked the fact that you didn't have pinpoint accuracy. So even people that sucked or were slow and fat and whatever else, all my other problems, you could still play decent, and even really good players were naturally handicapped, and I liked that. But most people who actually want to hit, like they're like, I want to point at that guy and hit them, are going to go towards half lengths. It's so easy to take a full length blaster, convert it to half lengths. You can take most any kind of blaster, convert it to half lengths. Is there a reason that we need full lengths besides nostalgia and for people that naturally want a balancing within a game? This isn't like a gotcha or anything like that. It's more of just a, do we need them? I like them, but what are your thoughts? What?
Similar to what I kind of just said earlier too, is that in one way, it doesn't matter what you think. They've been around for a while, even if they've been in the form of Streamline. They're not going away anytime soon, so someone's always going to show up with full lengths. And there just are that many blasters that exist that are compatible with them. So by decree of the average non-knowing nerfer, yes, full lengths are going to stay around for a while, and I like picking full lengths more than half length too. They're just easier to like grab, but they obviously they're easier to destroy as well. So there's
Fair.
there's that. I mean, you need full lengths for the Moab, so gotta keep full lengths.
Oh
I
yeah.
think I rest my case. Um, I think like let's go back. That very clear line between the explosion of half lengths after the pandemic and before that. Competitive with full lengths, it happened. I
I'm,
was there.
I'm
I
down.
remember it was a time. I remember the Strife mods with the full length, the End War 2019. That was mostly still full lengths. And the halves were like, hey, these are the ones maybe I shouldn't even pretend to know what generation of worker dart we were on at that point. But like every time I see a white worker Gen 2, with a black head, I rip those apart now because I just know I don't want to see you anymore. I don't care if you've been repaired. You're
But
done.
that
So
sound.
you're done. Get out of here. We've passed this. So I I see I think full lengths still have a place, even if even if you don't like them, how they perform or something. They're still just an easier key to jangle in front of someone that's recognizable to get them in, and they're just like easier to understand, and they're still more like prevalent out there, even if in the form of an FVJ. Some knockoff
Ugh.
version. Like the number
Ugh.
of knockoff darts out there that exist are still mostly full lengths, I think, because again, they've just had so much
Hmm.
more time. And for the most part, aside from Hasbro, companies are still keeping them sort of stocked.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I still like them for HVZ. I'm not gonna say that like half darts gonna be banned from HVZ, for sure.
Yeah.
But I still kind of approach HVZ. I like full lengths when possible. They're just easier to see. That's another thing too. From a video perspective, Caster was talking about how like large ammo types, so you can see it better for like filming. Full lengths have always been easier to see from like first person footage.
People need to
Yeah,
be
you,
more
you you mentioned
considerate to the
HVZ.
videography. Yeah. Don't
I
shoot me with that
I
half
know
leg.
Ragfest, the Stalking Dead. I think it was last year's was the first year they started doing half lengths. And I remember before that they were basically like, no, we're not going to allow half lengths, even though they're becoming more prevalent. We don't want to
Mhm.
allow that. I don't remember if that was just an availability issue or if it was more of a trying to keep kind of a traditional platform to keep people from jamming weird darts into blasters and stuff. With more HVZs adopting weird ammo types and everything, and I guess becoming more. There's always been like weird vortex people, and Mega XL and Megas have always been a component of HVZ. Do you think there's anything to where I don't know? What are your thoughts on half lengths and HVZ? Is it just a matter of that's an available dart, let's do it, or is there a benefit to trying to maintain like balance wise or anything between like trying to keep things more full length based instead of adopting half length availability?
I feel like I lean towards the same way Brett was thinking, and when it comes to HVZ, when I think what the blaster I want to use in HVZ, I want to use a full length blaster. I think because I don't get to use them in competitive, because for competitive, half lengths just tend to make more sense when you're
Yeah.
trying to not only have better consistency but also carry darts without being as bulky. There's obvious benefits for half lengths, but when I think of HVZ, that's like full lengths. That's the perfect game for full lengths. Yes, you can argue that you can carry more half lengths than you can full lengths. Fine. I'm not playing HVZ to like win. I'm playing HVZ to have a glorious death. That's all HVZ is to me. So like, I want to use a fun blaster. Maybe I'm getting my LARP on with some friends. I don't know, but like, yeah, I feel like full lengths and HVZ kind of hand in hand. But the community seems to be shifting more and more towards half lengths, just period.
Yeah.
And that means people maybe if they're traveling to a large event don't want to bring multiple blasters. that have different types. So, it's just easier to go, okay, well, this is all going to be this type now. So
Yeah.
I understand both sides, but
Yeah.
yeah, I like full length for HVC.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, the one blaster, because that's been like a when we talk about new things that come out, and you're like, by the way, this costs $600. We're like, oh my gosh, I can buy a real firearm for that. Insert any comparison, but that's the
Mhm.
one you see usually first. And it's like, well, but you can adjust the FPS, you can do this, X, Y, and Z. You can cook me dinner. It's great. And it is good because that means that a lot of people can get away with. Oh, you haven't heard that one? There are some people now, yeah, who can for the first time buy a blaster and bring it to like a 3-day weekend, and as long as it doesn't die on them, maybe they have a couple batteries, they can use it for everything. Or it's a Springer, they have different springs they can swap out. Cool. But less common is that it is a blaster that can be adapted to both like full lengths or half length. I guess saying it out loud, we know plenty off the top of our heads that like existed as full lengths with half dart mag conversion, or you can mod it to your own desires too. But like, yeah, it's much easier when you only have like one mag type that you bring with you. It's
Yeah.
there's a great evolution to that. At the same, yeah, but that obviously then makes it harder to say like, whoa, I'll just do full lengths for one and half darts for another. Like, why I know this. I might be playing sillier in one type, but I still want to know how far my blaster shoots. I know a lot of people too will. There's some clubs that are still on the fritzes for HVZ about half lengths of, been a little less interested in like the heavier dart heads. Even if it's like this is the FPS, but they're like, we have a pain test and that head hurts too much, and you're like, the old ways. Okay, this is a conversation indeed. But some people still will say, half darts they feel different at a same FPS as a full length hitting you, and there's a lot of math that goes into some people's event FPS caps, and there's a lot of non-existent math that has gone into others, and some of that still exists, and some of that is just ways that people were organizing stuff 10 years ago, and it hasn't been changed. And that's a good example of why things don't always work out, because people fly from the other side of the world or a different country, and they're surprised when it's not what they're familiar with. All that being said, I also I have no issue with like half lengths for HVZ, but we gonna bring Rival into this at some point? I don't know.
Yeah, dude, I'm a Rival
sorry,
user.
Sorry, Rival's dead. We can't
Yeah.
talk about Rival
Oh,
anymore.
let me just
make
put
someone
away
upset
this
with that.
12,000 rounds of Rival and currently.
Yeah, and there's no more.
There's no
Rival's
more. I
dead
bought
until
it
they
all.
make one more, and then Rival's not dead anymore. Yeah, I don't. It's hard to see. It's hard to see half lengths being taken out of HVZ at this point. But I imagine there still are clubs that put a hard like, hey, no half lengths. Though it's funny, I mean, I'm sure as recent as a year ago or even a couple, there have been clubs that just don't know that kind of stuff exists, or they never updated their rules. And the only way they find out is when someone brings something and they get it tested.
What is this?
Yeah, what do you mean? And then, the hardest part with that too is that because now we have all those blasters on the shelves that are, hey, this is the Nexus Pro X. Can I use this for HVZ?
It's stock.
It's stock. Yeah. I mean, does it use full lengths? No. Half. Well, how hard does it shoot? It should be
Fairly
okay.
so.
All right, cool. It's Adventure Force. Oh, I've seen that one before. Okay, sure.
It's
Here's my
Walmart. That's
piston
cheap
pump.
junk, right?
The new people are the biggest. The biggest people who suffer now are those who just don't know, because hypers in the chat. Indeed, the easiest. I keep talking about all these like olive branches and ways to get new people interested, and I still think full lengths have that appeal. They have that recognition, and it's a good way to get people like, hey, you like this? Well, there's also more. If you still just like this, that's great. You can still do so much with it, because there's still been so many cool blasters that have come out. This is a unicorn that shoots full lengths. You're gonna have a good time here. But then if they go to the wrong event and they get something that is like directly next to them onto the shelf, they discover, wait, I can't use this, and now people are telling me to go home because I don't have the right blaster. Well, I guess this wasn't what I expected.
Yeah.
So
Guess I won't come back.
yeah, I guess I'll die. Like, I guess I'll go play or something.
Yeah, that's a group I've experienced that group dynamic of just people go, oh, you can't use this, go, leave. And I think that needs, if you're going to actually be that restrictive, which I think in this day and age you shouldn't be. If someone can buy it off the shelf, they should be there. You need to figure out they have no idea what the Nerf hobby is. You got to realize they might come to use it, and you might see that 8-year-old come to the game with a bunch of other kids, and he has the piston pump because his dad's like, nah, that's off the shelf, that's fine. So then as the organizer, you got to be like, okay, you can't use this. This hurts too much. Here's this. And this is the reason you can't use it. And this is the thing we're doing it with. And if you really want to do it, here's some weird ways you can, with the piston pump, it's just different barrel lengths. You can get that down to 90 FPS if you wanted to. But it's just, it's having that availability of, okay, you can't use this blasted you brought. We apologize, but it's just too strong or too weak or doesn't have the right dart or whatever. But here's something that's equally as cool, the quote unquote loaner. And if you really want to use this is your go about. I think that's more on the organizer side, the administrator side, which unfortunately we don't always see. People are getting better at it. I've been just online. I've been reading more about people having we have this. I mean, there's a group over in Arizona that I just recently discovered. They have loaner spirits. It's out of everything you're to give someone a loaner for, it's like
money.
Yep.
And
Like
it's
gamble.
Yeah,
Rich neighborhood apparently.
yeah, it's Scottsdale. Oh yeah, but it's just always having that and stuff. But also kind of circling back to the HVZ half length, full length off the shelf, because we've all been, not to call us old, we've all been around in this hobby for a bit. And I think we all can remember the old HVZ versus the NIC arguments, debates. In Australia, it was huge. We had the NIC Nerf groups that hated the HVZ groups. I inherited an HVZ group, and I'm like, why do they hate us? Oh, because they're not powerful enough. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go to a game and just be weird. So I brought a wizard robe and a sword to their game. It's like, oh, you guys allow melee, cool. But then that debate seems to evolved in some ways. It's never seemed to fully leave the hobby, and it's like in HVZ you have serious HVZ versus funny HVZ, and a lot of times they go into the camps of the full lengths, half lengths, again fighting. Have you guys kind of seen that? Is it more died, like just from your local?
I have maybe an unfortunate take on this,
Hmm.
and maybe it's just a little bit of cynicism in
Here we go.
humanity, but people like to feel superior about something.
Yeah.
Oftentimes when they, maybe they don't have control of things in their life, so they need an outlet to feel better than someone else, to elevate themselves. But I feel like some of that, not all of it, not trying to say every single person who has a preference is absolutely this way, but I think some of it comes from tribalism of we're better than this other group because I enjoy what we do more. When it really just needs to be, that's just another part of the hobby. They do things different than we do it. We both have fun. Like it's not going to happen, but that's what I'd like to see happen.
So it's more ingrained. The human condition is kept it in.
Yeah.
Damn people ruining the hobby.
Right.
People are the worst part about being a people.
That's true. HVZ is the original comp, right? I mean, people have said that before, and I think those who haven't realized that are they're gonna figure it out one day, right? Because there's a certain way that you can play HVZ exactly, which is a little bit more lighthearted, and then there's other ways where you get. I mean, there are HVZ snobs out there, right? Who are like, if this game doesn't have a good story, I'm out. Like, I'm not invested. I want to make sure we solve all these puzzles, all these riddles. We're going to max out the points. And nowadays, you have the tools to blast your way out of just about anything. So, there's so many different, you can get really into HVZ, and maybe you're not operating at 250 FPS, but boy, do you approach it still in a pretty competitive format, and there's anything wrong with that. But there are plenty of times where I've been turned off from HVZ because there's certain people yelling at you to go do something, and you're then standing there and you're like, "What? Me?
Who are you?
With this?" All right, sure. And I have seen certain like groups of people who get together and they play an objective a certain way, and then there's other groups of people who are like, actually, we're gonna go do this, and they run off with 5 people, and they end up ruining the mission for the entire like human group that time, and it makes some people very angry. And again, is this not just a different side of like competitive? But now your team is pretty large, and so your actions have consequences. And that can happen with full lengths or half lengths. But now we just have the firepower has changed, and Maverick once ruined HVZ, and then Raider ruined HVZ. See those old school arguments too, right? So the arms race discussion has always existed, and those moderators and game organizers there have to really do their due diligence to balance things out. So I do not envy that at all. But I've definitely seen that to really take it back to like kind of those long weekend events too, where people are maybe using the same blaster that they'd use then in comp, and so there's sort of muscle memory to play it with comp. Some people do approach HVZ a little bit more aggressively now, I would say, because they're comfortable with their comp style blaster, or again, they're just they're half darts and nothing else doesn't smell like a half dart, then they don't want to use it. But they'll tell you that they're gonna play chill, but they still it's a little, they could tone it down just a little bit. And there's a difference between, and I've loved seeing some HVZ themes really take precedent, where people are like, you know what, I am gonna dress like a cowboy and bring like a double barrel shotgun to this rag fest. I think that'll be fun. Or like a lot of cylinder fed blasters, revolvers that showed up at rag this year as a result of that. And so some people I think are happily willing to lean into the theme and be a little less effective on the field to be in theme with that. But there are always some people who approach it like it is life or death, which ironically HVZ that is kind of all it is. Yeah. So shoot, right? But there and that clashes. There are more clashes as a result, because if it's a high FPS competitive event, then it's pretty clear that everyone there is going to be playing this game, and the game has win conditions, and you're with your team. HVZ, you can be matched with a lot of people on your team that are playing in very different ways. So I've seen some crash outs in comp, but I've seen some pretty big ones in person and online, from HVZ, because you just have more people playing in more ways, and obviously there's a lot of more people literally crash into each other sometimes, so the risk of getting hurt is also higher. Why is HVZ shrinking their college footprint? I don't know why, but maybe that's one we don't need to touch on too terribly much. But
different stream.
Yeah, different stream. But
I do want to have an HVZ stream, like maybe first of next year sometime. Get like the 5-minute respawn guys and maybe a few others, and just kind of talk about the current HVZ scene and how it's evolved.
Because I was gonna ask this question, but that would completely derail this thing of, do you think HVZ's run its course, and should we be looking at some sort of other type of large scale, kind of more casual LARPy event that just involves blasters on both sides?
Do you have something in mind? Are you pushing us in a certain direction?
I've been working on, but it's that without, like I said, without going too much into it. I love HVZ. If an HVZ, I will play it at HVZ. But seeing, as you're saying, you saw people crash out. HVZ always has the problem is, well, someone's going to get tagged first, and a lot of us will travel. I mean, not now, but previously, from even outside the country to an HVZ game. You have your blaster. I'm going to use this cool blaster. Oh, I got tagged. I can't use my cool blaster now.
Yeah.
And
go ahead. Sorry, I thought you were.
No. You go, please.
Say this just to maybe some bias here, but it's one of the things I like about RAG is that it blends the two, I think, fairly well, where you're less likely to not get to use your blaster for at least a portion of time, since it starts with that human versus human heavier play style. But that said, I do think, I guess my message today is just coexistence is really what is going to be beneficial. Like, I do think HVZ still has a place. There's a lot of fun that can be had from it. But I do think seeing some large, like, faction-based, all, human versus human events would be really cool. It's just who's going to step up and start running them. I would love to see it happen. I think Boiler Dome does one during their weekend.
Okay.
I think it's called Campus Clash, where it's like large scale team based, no zombies. So like, it'd be cool to see more of that.
I don't think HVZ is going away, but like I kind of said earlier, it is becoming harder to host HVZ. We're a lot of us here are West Coasters. From the beginning, we know it's like, wait, you guys have HVZ? Like, where? Tell me about it. Like, we've watched it shrink, and I don't see as many HVZs pop up as I do get taken back for various reasons. And yes, we can not go too much further down why some of those reasons might be the case, but that's just kind of the reality of it. And there is a difference between large scale HVZ being organized for 300, 400 out of towners or combination of people in town and out of town versus the weekly college HVZ game or a week long college HVZ game that you get to do repeatedly. That will change how some people approach things, because for those like who are actually having the HVZ on their college campus and they're a college student and you're like, oh, I get to do HVZ this week, I guess I could do that. Sure. Like, why not? Because it's just like, if it's constantly there for you, you get to have more fun with it. You can probably chill out a little bit. You can literally just approach it from every different angle you want to in an entire year. If you do stay that active versus, if you're approaching it as my one time in a year, I get to play this game, you're going to put a lot more emphasis on what does or does not happen. And you are more likely to play a certain way or have a certain reaction if it doesn't go your way. And so I get that too. And that's, of course, under the assumption that you are much more leaning towards staying human than playing zombie. Because plenty of people are happy to do both. And a lot of people have been happy to step up as a zombie to start with too, which is always appreciated. But I think we also recognize there's more people who don't like to transition to a zombie after they've been tagged out, especially, yes, if it's earlier in the game. And so that's why I typically, if I'm approaching an HVZ nowadays, it's like, I don't want a modded blaster. I want it to be stock. I want it to be something that I could probably buy off store shelves or something that I'm borrowing for the day of. I approach it with very low standards or expectations so that, if something breaks, I don't do that well, then I get to play a zombie afterwards, and it's not a big deal. But I do think that what's becoming harder now is we used to sell the big, travel experiences with HVZ kind of as like the big anchor point, right? Like that was the End War sort of appeal initially, where it's like, hey, you come for the HVZ and more. Like the convention was pretty cool. And then a lot of events have now popped up that it's like HVZ is one of the three. It was still, like a big thing. And for, again, people like us who have been maybe less exposed to HVZ on a constant basis because of just where we happen to live, it's like, oh, you have HVZ? We don't have HVZ at home. I go to HVZ there. Like End War 2018 was probably my biggest HVZ ever because it was on a college campus and I'd never had one of those experiences before. But then it became, like other events had, like, we got the HVZ, we got a comp day and a convention. And you're like, whoa, that's so cool. And then we watched people's like preferences. And Legacy HVZ, I think now appeals to a certain group of people, not for better or for worse, it just does. But some people, I'm gonna name names, will even skip an HVZ if it happens to be the day before a competitive game. I can't imagine who would do such a thing.
What a horrible thing to do.
But as a result of these just observations, you can see how numbers will then be impacted, for what happens next. Or, there are some people who really don't care about playing comp. And they're like, okay, well, I want to play in the HVZ, and I guess I'll just do nothing the day of competitive. And obviously, certain events have been better at recognizing, like, okay, well, we do need something going on at the same time. And then there's other people who are like, can we just have a 2-day convention? I just want to sit around and then get up and look at people's cool stuff. So all that to say that the HVZ argument, right? Like, it used to be, HVZ is like one of the coolest thing this hobby has. It's no longer, I think, for some people a reason like to travel and kind of like the big thing that everyone should care about. People have kind of found different things that really attract them, and I think we've all sort of recognized that it's harder to have all three of those style of events, right? Like a convention or of a chill, vendor, someone who's a vendor might care really, really a lot about a convention day, convention goer like mindset, collectors. And then the HVZ crowd cares really a lot about that, and then competitive crowd cares a lot about that. Somewhere in there are people who just play for whatever reason and will literally do all of that. But I think that's another thing that's maybe threatening HVZ in some ways, where some clubs are probably now just gonna have to recognize, like, hey, we're doing HVZ. That's our main attraction. It's gonna be a 2-day HVZ. And we'll do some other stuff maybe on the other day if we're going to turn it into a 3-day weekend. Or I would fully assume that some of these larger invitationals are going to nix it and do, like, I don't know, casual days, or just again like a 2-day convention, something. I can't see it going forward as it currently is now that we've seen feedback. And now that it kind of seems like it's harder sometimes to secure the venue for an HVZ, because HVZ is the most space intensive typically if you want to have a successful event with a good number of people.
It's just not a matter of just getting a field. It's a matter of getting
everything. Or an indoor, a convention hall is one thing. Indoor field is another. An outdoor field is there too. People do that, I'm told. They're the invisible shots I'm throwing at the event that I've attended for the longest. Yeah.
So you're feeling like there's a bit of a shift happening, perhaps, in the HVZ dynamic of things, and between you and Caster's comments about kind of that transitioning HVZ versus NIC. Now we have more of a kind of super stock that transformed into more of an ultra stock, which is now like, what do we call like the natural competitive scene that we have now versus more of the traditional modding and HVZ's level of things. So there's kind of a similar dynamic where, yes, we're existing, but are we, there's a bit of friction where some people are strictly this, some people are strictly that. I mean, is that?
Yes. Yeah, I'm also trying to figure out how to...
This is just an evolution of the existing problem we've already had. So basically people suck and things change, and that's just what we're stuck with. Is that the moral of the story today?
I think
optimism.
Yeah. Well, think about this too. A lot of people who get into Nerf in college find it through HVZ because that's what their college was hosting. Not all of them, obviously, but a lot of people who say that they started playing around college are like, so is there a Nerf club on campus? Did you play HVZ? Because it's just like, that's something that exists, and it kind of gets in your face. If people are playing HVZ on a college campus and you're walking by, you're like, the heck
what are they doing?
Yeah, and you either like are really curious and do you want to know more, or you're like, oh, all right, well, I'm not that weird. Like, yike. So that again, when the events are becoming less common, or there's more restrictions on them, or just people are finding different entry points now into Nerf, then the big kind of like hype and sort of epic that was HVZ. No one can do these kinds of events that we can do. It's true. It's becoming harder to put on 1,000 person HVZ events. So I think that was always, at least for me, maybe I'll speak for like personal experience, I always thought that was a pretty like incredible thing. And while I'm not going to sit here and recommend people go to an epic battle of Jared proportion inside of a AT&T stadium, that's still something that no one else can rival, and that's why it appeals to other people. You get sold on something that no one else is hosting, and the spectacle alone, or even just getting into sports arena itself, is something that some people can never do. So the dream is not dead. No, not at all. But yeah, I can see like now, yeah, the old. I would be shocked if like the old school like HVZ enthusiasts look on modern times and think, yeah, this is the way to do things. I'm sure I can only imagine like the salt. You can smell like you're at the ocean. Like there's gotta be, people just absolutely livid about how like modern HVZ clubs approach things too. And that's just inner fighting as well. It's just I was never, like I said, I've never been like a HVZ purist. I didn't get into this through HVZ, but I'm sure if I did, I'd be, sometimes like shuffling my feet around.
Harumph. Yeah.
You people, like, you didn't have to like go into a lake and breathe through a straw as the zombies ran overhead while I had my Mavericks submerged in water. You don't understand.
I gotta say, I one of my regrets of not going to a 4-year college is not getting to experience that week-long HVZ, because like it always looked like it was a ton of fun, but they just don't exist on the West Coast at all. We get day games when we're lucky, and there's a scene still here in San Francisco. I think like it waxes and wanes. I think it's not as populated now as it was, but it's still not a week long game.
You didn't just like visit UC Davis and like pretend to be one of the college students because your friend was there, and then once you lost him you didn't know where you were going because you weren't a student? You never did that?
I couldn't imagine.
Couldn't be me.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, no, I will say the week-long thing was it was an experience. Don't know if it was a good experience, but
you
it
had
was.
it.
Yeah,
Some crazy stories though.
Yeah, I mean our week-long in Australia was a multi-campus week-long, so they went.
Jeez.
They went. The city is the boundary, and this is Melbourne, which has the same size, which has a greater population than LA, in a smaller area. So, like I said, yeah, experience not great. Granted, you still have the things, especially you get, you always have the good memories, you always have the bad memories. You never really remember the times you were on super high alert because you didn't sleep for 2 days because you had to finish a paper and you were loaded up on caffeine, but you still had that Maverick and you're looking around and you're ducking around corners and there's no one there and everyone's looking at you like an idiot. Like, what are you doing? But, the rest of it, it's good times.
I feel like, did you really play HVZ if you don't have some bad memories of HVZ? And I say that in the best possible way, like not in like a bad way at all. It's just like I remember playing HVZ through the streets of San Francisco in between traffic and thinking immediately afterwards, this is possibly the dumbest thing I have ever done.
I might have died for real.
Yeah, no, this is no longer a game.
Well, NWAR 2018 was the first time I got exposed to the, all right, at midnight, it's live. Doesn't matter where you are. You could not be at campus yet. Game's live. So you got to get to the actual, rules briefing room to be safe the next day. And some people might be waiting in the parking lot areas. And it's like, its problem is like nowadays, if I would like think about that and anyone who has like a kid probably looks at it as a different way, and I just like I would be afraid to be on a host like an admin team and be like, sounds good, but looking back, like nothing can top that feeling of like, all right, like we're getting out of the car, keep a hand on that door until we're ready, and then we're going. And the blasters were, this is pre like Half Dart Revolution. So your loadouts were a lot more close to the chest. Like, I hope this thing fires when I pull the trigger sometimes. So it's like the feeling of that will probably never be matched again. And I tell people too, like if you want to have like an old school game, old school in this case being 2000, you have to go out of your way to have it, right? Like you can't
Yeah.
just host like a Nerf game nowadays and be like, you know what, we're gonna do elite style blasters. We're gonna do like sub 100 FPS. And oh nope, sorry, that like single rival blaster might technically be over it, and that's even unlikely to be like the source of the over FPS cap like blaster. Like that, how hard it is to recreate those style of games, and how hard it is to recreate some of those experiences now is why I think at a certain point you say this happened, the good and the bad. That's pretty crazy. All right, moving on. Like now we just have to address the current state of things. And yeah, in some HVZ cases, it doesn't work towards building the hype, I would say. Like because a lot of the people who are still playing HVZ and have those memories will always have the good and the bad, and hopefully that can inform them on how to improve things. And yeah, they stay in tune with what currently exists. But yeah, no, I do miss I do miss the full open world, because nothing will top like, hey, someone got turned and they're 3 states away because they haven't made it yet. You're like, oh my god, it's out. They're out there. Like just the assumption that someone is standing in the dark and then it turns to midnight and they just get like activated like a sleeper agent. You're like, oh my.
He was
There's
on
so
a
many-
plane.
Oh, that'd be brutal. There's so many good memories. Like, yeah, I talk about like, doing some of the dumbest things, ever, but there's so many good memories. Those moments of, like Brett was talking about of like making sure you're safe to get out of your car, or like meeting up with your group who got separated and finding out like, did everyone make it? Or who did we lose? Who do we have to, like there's
Right.
just so many good things that I can't see that disappearing fully. I don't think it will. I think, for all the reasons mentioned, it may struggle to pull the same numbers as it did, some years ago, but I don't see it going away completely.
Fair.
This
So
is an
HVC is
HVZ
only
discussion,
mostly
right?
dead.
Yeah.
It's a competitive.
Okay. So HVZ's dead. Full lengths are here to stay. What do you see the prospect of, or what is the trajectory of competitive? Like right now things are pretty much, technology and everything we're seeing. Was there like nearly a dozen of the new AEBs, the piston pump, on the competitive field at RAG? I think I counted at least 10.
There were
just
not
throughout the game.
not quite as many as I expected, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
I started with one and then dropped it halfway through the day, and went back to flywheels. So
Alright.
was a good sign for like them not being busted, but they're
Yeah.
certainly very good blasters. They just
Yeah.
a few issues here and there that prevented it from feeling really truly overwhelmingly good.
Okay.
But the state of tech is always going to be changing, and I feel like it's the game designer's job to make sure that it's balanced. So
Okay.
that's why every year we go back and test new rules and changes and adjust things, because the tech is always changing. Blasters are always changing. So if one thing starts to become too strong, okay, well, let's make some tweaks to some numbers here and there, and find that balancing point, so it's not just paintball where everybody's running the same thing, because that is not that interesting. If people wanted to do that, they could just go play paintball or play airsoft.
He said it.
It's not the first time. It won't be the last.
So, do you see the competitive scene, like actual like structured competitive? Do you see that like the FPS cap growing? Like as 300 becomes easier and easier to hit and surpass, is that something that's? Do you think game design is going to follow that, or is it going to be pretty much like this is a good, or is that part of the balancing?
I don't foresee 300 being a mainstream thing anytime in the near future. There's already plenty of complaints about 250 at the point blank ranges that will happen occasionally.
Yeah.
Which you'll leave with welts. You'll leave. I've had cuts in the shape of dart heads before. So like I get it.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, and the higher you go in FPS, the more the diminishing returns. So like 200 to 250, there's something there. 250 to 300, it's like, yeah, but it's less apparent. So
Mm.
I don't think we need to make that jump. Um, I hope we don't make that jump also, to be clear. I don't think it's necessary. Like I mentioned earlier, we don't need high FPS for good quality competition, but
Yeah.
it's what people want, and you have to find that meet in the middle point of what people want and what is the best for a game, unfortunately.
Do you think that also kind of falls under the whole human flaw of wanting to be better at everything? You think that's kind of what the people chasing the FPS numbers is, where it's like, well, it can go more. We can make it go faster, but do we need to have that in every game?
Yeah, I think there's always going to be an element of this is a tinkerer's hobby,
Oh yeah.
and people want to tinker, and when they find a way to do something, they want to do it and have reasons to do it. So
Yeah.
I think there'll always be an element of that. My hope over the last like 4 or 5 years has just been I'd like to see the tinkering and refining and developments be in other areas of blaster design rather than FPS. I want things that are more reliable, durable, consistent. Focus on groupings rather than velocity. Those are the
Yeah.
kind of things that I am hoping we'll see uh, more effort put into, and we have, to be clear. But
Oh yeah.
rather
Oh
than
yeah.
chasing that number.
Yeah.
Number can only go so high, right? Because it's like, okay, cool, we hit we broke the sound barrier. Do we really want to go faster than that? No.
Break it
Okay,
again.
we got. Yeah, we'll just be light. It'll be fine, right? It's good,
Yeah, it's easy.
easy, simple.
Dart hits you before it
Science.
leaves the barrel. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, honestly, I didn't have a anticipation of what I wanted the end of the show to feel like. I didn't really want to come to any conclusion of, oh, this solves everything. But for the most part, it feels like it's like, competitive's competitive and fun and silly is fun and silly, and that they do need each other. And that seems like kind of a milk toast ending to our little story for the most part. Um,
I mean, I
is
could
there any
I
like
could give
more?
them a question if you can't think of one, but
Well,
you
I
want
mean, if you
wrap.
got if you,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to wrap up necessarily. I'm more of just kind of bringing it up as like, okay, so we don't necessarily have any like deciding. There's been no major outbreaks of anything, which is honestly cool, because that's kind of what I wanted to hear, was mostly like, hey, we do need to have all aspects. We do need to maintain and nurture all of those weird little facets of the hobby, that we can't just say, well, this is one thing, and that's another, and never the twain shall meet. That you do need to maintain that balance within games and balance within the hobby, which is actually really cool. So what are your you said you had a question? Are you trying to
Oh
stir the
yeah,
pot a
no,
little bit? Or
if
what are
yeah,
you?
no, I'll say it's on
Before
topic, but it's kind of focusing. So if we need both, and I'm gonna phrase the question differently for both Brett and Jang. Uh, Jangular, what do you think? Like, what would help competitive on the more silly side? Like, what would be something kind of more comical that would actually boost, in the future, something you'd like to see that would actually have an impact on the competitive scene?
in silly games,
In like a silly game and like an HVZ and like a more Nerf LARP, something that isn't competitive, but
anything that brings players in. Like
okay.
it's that simple. Competitive doesn't grow if there's not a player base to grow from. Because most people aren't going to make their entry into the hobby through competitive. It's going to be through regular games, through HVZ, through uh, monthly local games. So like anything that grows the hobby, you know, silly, serious, whatever, that's a benefit for competitive. And if competitive gets people to be more invested in the hobby and they want more time to just enjoy it, they're going to go to more local games or travel to other events. It's
Yeah.
it's it just goes hand in hand. like, and to touch on real quick, sorry to extend on this,
Extend away.
on Nathan's, points about this. I just want to remind everyone our hobby is basically still in its infancy. Like, yes, we've been doing this for over a decade, but we have 10, 20,000 active players, maybe. That's not many. Like, we're still very
Yeah,
small.
Yeah.
So anything we can do for outreach to grow the hobby is beneficial. My take is simply enjoy the hobby however you like, so long as you are not purposefully making the hobby worse for someone else. That's
And
that's
on
it.
that topic,
Yeah, be excellent to each other.
no, I think that's a good point. That I think because we're so used to our little, literally a community. Like it is still just a community. You can't say that about professional sports like baseball, but that is not a community of people. That is a global franchise of weird, expensive crap. And yeah, no, I guess that kind of helps put things in perspective a little bit. We're feeling so much growth because we are in a fishbowl. And oh,
Yeah.
Everyone feels it.
that's pretty heavy. Yeah.
Everyone feels it too, and some people take it very personally. It's like, well, the thing that I really enjoyed before is going away, and well, I guess
Yeah.
I'm done. Like I'm leaving. It's like all these little decisions. Some people take them very personally, and it's hard because yeah, we do have a numbers problem, and some people are. I get comments now where people are like, "Is the hobby dying because Coop isn't making videos anymore?" And I'm like, "All right, well, I guess I'm leaving now." Like, what the heck?
Frank, come
You're-
back. We need you.
You're so close and yet so far. It's like, no, just because you don't see something that validates what you thought was what propped up the hobby before, is the reason why it's like not growing or something. It's like, yeah, we there people leave, people come, and on your local game scale, you will see the evidence of like, hey, we want to like we do this, we want to do this. We don't have the numbers, we can't do this. Or a group of like 10 people comes together, hey, we're gonna try doing comp. 5 people want to play that. Okay, well, we're going full in. Well, the other half doesn't want to do it, and then those 5 don't have enough people. Group is done, dead. It's no longer happening. So it's so much growth that still needs to happen, and depending on the people you have, will dictate how that scene grows. And then once you get more people, you can really start to make some crazy things happen. And the challenge is that unfortunately, it's Jang was just saying it. I'm trying to find points to debate against, but I mean, we've both
Stop
experienced
agreeing
it.
with me.
I know. Stop following me around, which is what I did. Is when I first met you at the Bay Area games, and like, this is fun. And then more things happened because more people were able to show up, and things kept allowing us to try new things. And I've now been able to play at a bunch of different spots where I've seen people have different takes on that, and in some cases, it like everyone like happily embraces it, and they're able to kind of turn certain things off and on, or they are able to engage with what they like and they disengage with what they don't like. In other cases, the only thing they have access to is a public, FPS, like high FPS game, because certain admins wanted to have it, and thus the 8-year-olds that attend get a surprise. And some of them, their parents say they can take it and it's no big deal, and others rage out at the admins mid-game because they didn't realize that certain people were using 4 times the power than what their child was using. I'm not saying anything specific. I'm just speculating. But so that's a challenge, because then there goes your future player. Bye. Like that was fun while we
Could have
had
molded
them
him. They could have been
You could-
better. The next level competitive. At like 8 years
Could
old,
give
they were
him-
dodging darts.
Mm-hmm.
We actually have some pretty impressive little players in our group, like young kids that are just like, gosh, that kid's good. like
They're going
Like,
to be
if
a
it was-
monster in 10 years.
well, I was gonna say, like, what is the minimum age for competitive? Because we're talking about putting together a team for next year's Ragfest.
It
there might be some
depends on the
young
event. For RAG, it's either 14 or 15 currently.
Yeah, it might be pushing it, but
Why?
yeah, no,
Why?
we do have some impressive players, like shockingly good. But Okay,
Did
so
I
yeah, no,
did I answer that last question of yours, Caster, that you didn't ask?
You did, you did. That's why I wasn't even asking you. You basically, yeah, it's the agreement
Yep.
of, yeah, it's all just recruitment. It's more people, and I mean that would be if we see the hobby, because we are seeing the hobby growing. Because as a someone who has an online web store, as small as it is, sales keep going up. More and more people are buying. So if more people are buying, that means at least there's more people in the hobby in some form. And from just asking around, that's the majority. That's the consensus from most online stores. So if that's the case, we're growing, and it's just more. We got to make sure we kind of band together, and we keep showing everyone these are everything in the hobby. This is everything we can do. But with speaking of the younger kids, I would love if we had competitive grow. Then we have like the like
The
like
youth leagues.
yeah, the youth leagues,
Yes.
the pee wee
Dark
hockey.
Tag World Championship.
Exactly.
Yeah,
actually,
it's
one of our locals is actually trying to cook up kind of a like a youth league kind of thing, and just like doing like a summer camp almost. Like it's just a couple of days. You know, they pay for a blaster and the whatever time, and they go through and they do competitive training stuff and all this kind of thing, trying to promote more group expansion stuff through just more of a summer camp kind of deal, but trying to bring that to a much more palatable structure locally, which I thought is actually really a cool idea.
that'd be awesome if they make that happen.
Yeah, awareness.
Yeah.
People still don't know we exist. I mean, think about anytime
So
you
many.
you see comments from people like that see either events or they see someone holding a blaster what looks like not their home. Like, wait, do people play with these things? And you're like, well, yeah, duh. What are you not like aware? No,
No.
like no. We have to remind ourselves. Sometimes it's really hard to take a step 5 steps back and be like, all right, if I search the word Nerf, what do I get? Because it's not what you probably think, and most likely
Spider-Man and
not the same.
Elsa.
Oh no!
Well, it's interesting. You say that, and it's like the normalist among us is still vastly weirder than the world's normal.
You call
And
me
so
weird?
Knowledge, cursed
That's-
knowledge. Yes.
that's so much of it, and I do think that like was brought up earlier, we are so small still that we're concentrated, and realizing that like probably one of the biggest, not necessarily Nerf entities, but like Luke out of darts is probably has the biggest business or whatever. And so to some people, coming in, that's such an unreachable, like, oh, he's such an enigma. He's up there running this big business. And it's like, oh, I remember like we had dinner with him like a couple years back, and that was just, and it's like we are still so small that is a normal thing that can happen. And so yeah, to put it in that perspective where we are so dang tiny, we feel every ripple. And so yeah, I guess what we need to do, and I think Caster and Brett, you kind of tag team that one, is, and even Jang said, we do need both, but because we are so small, we really can't afford to divide, because every aspect of the hobby is a portal to bring people in. And how many people are strictly just one aspect of the hobby? Like there is the silly, there's the serious, there's the artistic, there's the community, there's the designing, the tinkering. There's just every avenue. Like we get so many people in through the 3D printing hobby from people who don't know anything about Nerf. They say, "Oh, I was printing keychains and those weird bendy dragon things, and I discovered a Nerf gun, and I remember Nerf gun, so I made a big Nerf gun." Well, there's a lot of other people that do it too. That's another portal to bring people in, and we do need to keep and make sure that those are all, like you said, coexisting well, and they all support each other. One hand washes the other. Only we got like 30 hands, like some kind of weird freak mutant octopus thing of love and creativity, which is great. That's what we are. Put that on a t-shirt.
Freak mutant octopus. Love creativity.
Yep.
There's definitely
Nailed
no
it.
clear cut. Yeah, there would be no way to be like, all right, if you're playing only into competitive, this is your exit out of casual Nerf. Welcome
Yeah.
to the real comp scene. There is no way to do any of that, especially as it currently stands. I don't see how that would happen in the future unless it's like a brand new entity comes in and is like, all right, we're redefining the space, and I mean I don't think we could tell you what that looks like until it happens. That's kind of like why we're so like unsure of how that would happen.
Hmm.
Like, is there such a thing as like casual paintball besides people that just
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
but like to a degree that we have casual Nerf? Like, is there silly paintball, silly airsoft
Yeah.
as a normal aspect of things? I'm saying
Not.
I know nothing about the hobby except for they're a bit
In
intense usually.
in SoCal, people every year there's the dinosaur shootout, which people have the inflatable dinosaur costumes and shoot each other with paintball markers, and you die when when your costume pops.
Okay,
It's
but is that a mainstream section of the paintballing hobby,
I mean,
or is that is it a hobby?
it's a
Is it a sport?
thing.
I
Locally?
honestly don't know. Or is it just people doing a weird thing?
they have their weekend casual games where people just run around the woods and they have fun and all that. It's not. Um, I wouldn't say it's as creatively diverse as our hobby is
Yeah.
currently, but uh, there is still a casual scene for that. It's just
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would say we're more, if you were kind of compare us to a hobby, we're more LARP. There's the very casual LARP,
A lot
and
more
there's the
crossover.
there's very serious LARP, and your average LARP sword is like $200 to $500, which we're seeing with the blaster. And I
Well,
so I still I still want to compare us to LARP, but I originally was saying 10 years ago were in LARP was in like 1988, 1989, pre-90s, but we've bounced everywhere. So we're obviously times have changed. There's more information. There's more. It's easier to be accessible to everyone else. So you can't draw direct comparisons anymore. But we've kind of we stuttered in some areas, and we just like light years ahead in other areas now. But that's just the scene, because LARP had the same thing. They have the tinkerers. Everyone kind of builds and creates their own costumes, and they have the hardcore players. No, I have this bastard sword because it's this exact length, and I have this shield because it measures up to my torso, and so I play with this, and I can't get shot with an arrow, and they're the super hardcore. They're also the ones who are spending like $10,000 on this custom suit of armor and stuff. But we kind of almost are seeing that in this hobby now. Maybe not to that full extent, but it's getting there. And it's fascinating. I don't know. I'm still in we're the closest to the LARP, but hobby, but we're now, I don't know. Maybe that's now we're splintering.
We
Yeah.
haven't had our pickleball boom yet.
Ah, pickleball Nerf.
Is there a
I don't want.
specific company behind pick? Like, I think because Nerf, like the kind of closing thought is like, Nerf didn't do it. Nerf didn't bring Nerf into the mainstream as maybe they could have. So what it will take is another company with all the money that will plant their flag how they see fit. Either they're like, we're doing competitive foam flinging and you're using this blaster and these darts and we have the arenas and these are the dates. Come see us. People have tried, and I don't think that they would do that the exact same way, but I think that if like something came in and it's just there, then people would check it out. Or they'll do like, these are our pop-ups across the country, across the world, and they're going to last longer than Nerf's arena. The ones that the action experiences that almost happened in some spots. So I think, it's everywhere that Nerf has kind of dropped the ball, or maybe some other people tried once.
I don't want to feel like I'm minimizing the point you're making earlier, Caster, but in the middle of your explanation, Brett reached into your chest and pulled a drink out.
Yeah.
And
No,
casually
you want a drink? I mean, here, let me just
was
move on over. I mean, here, let me just go behind. You want a drink? Just grab a drink. You know, we just
You're talking, and it's like he reached right through your tie, and it was like Temple of Doom, and he pulled. Sorry, it was really great from my end.
Is this where the onion rings came from?
Right up there, yeah.
They were right about here, right. And so, yes, the hand of God brought me the onion rings,
Right
and it
above
was
me.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
Actually, my wife brought them in and just stood off camera, but it was great. Sorry, the show's falling apart. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
I was really invested in what you're saying, but
So he's
Uh,
out. He's not really.
It was a good addition. It was a good
Good,
thing to
dude,
mention.
good try. I mean,
Really
look,
curious.
we started off where I was the only audible audio, so there it was just it was uphill, and now we're just going back down. You know, you can't maintain at the peak forever.
I'm really sorry. No, this has been amazing. Like I can't tell you how awesome discussion has been. That just broke me. I'm really sorry.
So
But-
that's the point. I mean, because we're all just in your garage, right? That's just your blasters on the wall. We
Yeah.
flew out Brett and Jang, and I've been here the whole
That's right.
time.
You're
That's
honestly.
right. You're making your fortnightly trip up here,
Yeah,
driving in your little car.
yeah. Down around,
Composure.
composure,
There we go.
and scene.
Sorry, I don't want to feel like I keep wrapping this thing up. But no, like, do you have any? Is there any follow-ups or questions or anything like that? Like, I'm having a killer time here. I'm really enjoying this. I think we've had some amazing discussion and some great revelations that maybe were not revelations, but only to me. But I guess I needed that apparently because that's been really beneficial, and I appreciate that.
Yeah,
This has
I
been
mean-
a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really glad we got to do this.
Sorry.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
An easily broken man.
I'm sorry. Is it getting late? Is it
It's
silly o'clock? yet?
a repeatable
Uh,
format.
I got
Yeah,
all
no,
the,
I'm very
Yeah.
curious how this decade will wrap up. I think, if COVID hadn't happened, if it,
That-
like how
yeah.
half darts would have been introduced differently, because it's like, yeah, really, some people say COVID killed things, and other people like explicitly say, "Oh, I got in during COVID." That's when things. So it's like, there's this really awkward time that started this decade, but like no matter how you slice it, it changed. Like so much has already changed, and now that we're approaching the second half, I'm really curious what will happen by like 2030. Hasbro's made some interesting decisions. More interesting than ever, and we don't. Some people are betting they're going to be like bankrupt by the end of the decade, which I think would be quite impressive. So like that's going to take some actual effort to do that, I would say. But what is the level of like involvement? As I said before, full lengths aren't going away from store shelves anytime soon, and they're definitely not going away from online retailers for
Yeah.
any time soon. So it's not like people are gonna show up to games and be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not allowed to use full lengths anymore because I can't supply it." But like our N series dart's gonna be adapted by then. I don't know. I'm really curious.
Well, what's your speculation? Say like 5 years, 10 years. Kind of what do you anticipate and what do you hope? That's
What-
getting weird. Some weird thing just happened.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
No, sorry.
I mean,
I think that's for both of you.
given what's happened, like of all the new companies or the companies that had like one-off blasters that popped up and you're like, oh, that's interesting, and then have now come back, I really do think it's going to be some company or companies that show up in the near future that really take hold. That we're like, again, we're just not expecting, or maybe they've been around for a bit, but they just like start to become more prevalent. Because a lot of times, like
Yeah.
when you ask, like, oh, what are like the big companies you care about, the ones that you can buy on store shelves? It's like, well, you got the Nerfs, that under Hasbro, the Adventure Force umbrella,
Yeah.
and then I guess there's some other stuff there too. But these other companies are now, they're finding shelf space, they're finding online retail space, and once you start seeing half darts on the ground in the wild, anything's possible. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
so-
Yeah, it was just whoever's got the money to pour in is, I think, going to start getting our attention first. And maybe if some of those companies are nice enough to not, excommunicate us for whatever reasons, then who knows? I don't know. It's possible.
All we do is we rip
Yeah.
apart their products. I mean, why do they hate us?
Can't fathom.
Still not sure.
For the next 5 years, I think I want to look more community inward. And it's like, I'm hoping we'll see more hobby community businesses continue to succeed. Because that, to me, is a sign of health and growth within a community and a hobby,
Mhm.
is that the homegrown companies find their success and are able to support themselves and provide for said community. So we see Out of Door, it's obviously employing
Yeah.
plenty of people, seemingly doing well. You know, the other companies, I want to see them continue to grow and be self-sustaining so that they can create more for the hobby community and give us
Yeah.
more offerings that, you know, may become some more of our core blasters we use, gear we use. I want to see more Nerf hobby focused gear rather than just straight tack
Yeah.
gear. So like I
Yeah.
love seeing the scared gear stuff taking off. That I think is a great thing. I wouldn't be upset to see more of that. Just more community success in general is what I would like and hope to see in the next 5 years.
Well, cool. So you're thinking more of a inward inward growth and structure versus just growing by, I guess, corporations and stuff. And
Yeah. Because I, as much as the entry point has been, you know, Nerf brand for the last 2 decades,
yeah,
uh, if we get big enough, that can shift away. And so businesses doing well in the scene indicate growth and population of that hobby. So that to me is like a good indicator that we're trending in a positive direction.
cool. So,
I
so the hobby's
think
not
we've
dying.
kind of lost.
Brett
No.
hasn't ruined anything.
Oh, he's trying. I think we've also just kind of like we've officially like you know the longest like running hope for Nerf could come back. It's hard to really still be rooting like in the years to come at this point. Nerf ball was kind of like the last big like this could be it. They're like real late to the party, but this could be
Yeah.
them finally starting on the what happened? What wait? Did I sneeze
Yeah.
and it's gone? What's
Yeah,
going on? It's like
they did kind of a Buster Keaton face slide across the almost finish line on that one.
yeah, like we were this close to greatness, and by this close I mean we were this at least this close. It was not as close maybe as we had hoped. The yeah, it's like we've talked before about how good it is to not always have it be like this is the brand that we're entangled with, but obviously it's good for finding stuff. And now
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's becoming very easy to say our stuff is no longer like this is it's a Nerf war, a Nerf event, competitive Nerf, but
Yeah.
Hasbro doesn't, they don't want to play ball, they don't want to play ball, and now they're balling out of Rhode Island. So
Now here's my
yeah.
my expectation for 5 years from now.
Mm.
The N series dart will be discontinued, and then move on to the
Oh.
next thing.
What a hater!
Wait, you think
Did
the
you
N
see
series is
them
gonna
going
last
back
5
to
years?
Ooh,
Do you think they're going to turn tail and kind of go back to the 50 cal full length, or do you think they're going to try something else equally weird?
I wouldn't be surprised if we see them go back in an interim until they think of something else they can do.
just a silent kind of like no acknowledgement. Just and here's the next blaster.
Yeah.
It's their
You're like,
new
wait,
awesome
what happened to N
dart.
series? This is also
What?
an option.
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's hard to know. I mean, okay, like just quick poll. Nate, like your events, have you seen like is N series supplied? And
I do not supply it, but I do know we have one guy that really likes it. I'm not sure if it's more of a meme thing or not. We have a few guys that have kind of experimented with, but nobody's actually serious about it. But obviously it's not something I stock. For the most part,
very
I'll stock
few are supplying it. So like
naturally.
it's not unless you're a Maritime Foam. I know he's here tangentially, so he's a big N series guy, so he supplies it for people. And no, I know even he's reached a point where he's not bringing it for like parties for people, and
Yeah.
I can't imagine anyone being more enthusiastic about that either, like of going out of their way to buy a new dart type too. So yeah, I'd be very curious what a product from Hasbro in the Nerf line looks like in say 2030. I mean, I'm really curious just what next year looks like too, but just really
fair.
looking out there. I have
Stuff
no
does
idea.
change quick, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe the rival will not die. Who knows?
Never.
No,
In like 3 years, they'll have another. Oh yeah, remember Rival? Here's another blaster.
remember rival?
Ugh.
Yeah.
Going back to hyper. Yeah, they tried. They tried going all the way back to like OG megas. They went from like, they're this size dart to smaller darts, and then bigger darts, and then smaller darts, and then different small darts, and then we do bigger darts again, and then real big darts, and then we got balls, and then little balls, and great big balls, and so it's like
Great big
yeah,
balls.
it's,
Biggest.
I mean, hyper was the experiment before gel. Is really what it feels like, right? Like I don't think that's a pretty big
Yeah.
conspiracy.
Oh yeah, 100%.
no, that was. I'm glad they didn't
Hyper-
invest too much more into that. They didn't push
Yeah.
hyper as hard as they pushed ultra.
Oh, yeah. As a player, I love Hyper. As a game organizer, I despise Hyper with a passion. And I'm so glad it's gone.
Yeah, no, that's even like the 50 caliber rounds. Like I have a bunch of mine, but I've only used them like once or twice in like when we do like a game at a church gym where it's like you can just sweep it all to the middle and collect it. I'm not taking something like that to the park or to the arena because that crap's never going to come back, and try to keep it a bit more simple.
Maybe we'll get a third Vortex.
Oh,
I wouldn't complain. Some of the
wouldn't
most
complain
fun
at all,
rounds we've
though.
had locally is all Vortex rounds.
I love
yeah.
seeing Vortex.
I'm here for Vortex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
I mean, you can still buy it from knockoff Chinese wholesalers. They still just have
But they suck.
warehouses full.
Of the actual genuine stuff. That's the big challenge.
It's not the genuine now. It's the
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff's a bit harder.
yeah.
Yeah.
Less.
Unfortunately,
comfy.
that's the example of like if it ain't genuine for Vortex, it's a problem. There's like
Yeah.
Mega
jam
XL still exists enough. I don't think anyone else really has those options. There are some good demolisher or missile rockets that exist that like can keep that alive if you're into that. But then yeah, Vortex is like it. Don't
There's
fly.
never been a good replacement
It
of
really
those.
is. No,
It's too bad.
it's a shame.
Rip
That's always
Vortex.
fun.
Or
Yeah,
Hopper
it's-
out for it.
Wall bounces, yeah. Wall bounces count. Nothing else. Only
Always.
Vortex. Yeah, because you always wonder like does that appeal to people or did they just like lose interest and then like did Rival just take over at some point when they're like, hey wait, this is way easier. This is painful.
I could see it being like a money sink because the ammo is two parts. You have to do the plastic and the foam and then stick it together and have it be consistent. Plus the mechanisms are so dang complex, and the locks for those mechanisms are so dang complex that I could see it just being like, we're not making money off this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be down for seeing like even if it's just another round of re-releases or even something new. That'd be fun.
I wouldn't mind seeing Boom Nitrons at HVZ games again.
And competitive. Is Vortex competitive, man?
Oh, Dark Cap says rough.
Okay, everybody pulled all their Vortex discs together. We had about 38. So everybody gets about 6 to keep it fair.
Oh no.
Yeah. Single shots only. Vortex. Moving at half the speed of smell towards your enemy. It's great.
And you will not feel it. You will not feel that Vortex disc. Hey, how's it going, Void? What's going on here?
Did we lose Jang again?
Jace.
I think my camera died.
Never died.
Oh man, it's
Well,
I guess. Okay, Jang had to go, so I guess I guess we kind of start wrapping.
start wrapping this up.
Can you save it?
Oh, yeah.
I can try and plug it in if that
Oh,
works.
Yeah.
I've seen Thunderbolts before. I know where this is going. Jang, it's okay. We're here.
He's just reaching into the void.
Kind of went a little overtime with everything, but I appreciate you guys coming out, and it was fun organizing the council of ugly chairs, and I'm glad everybody played along. That was fun.
With our matching colors. Take our word for it.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Totally.
Blue team, master of nothing, always present.
But no, it was good discussion. I appreciate your guys' time and your thoughts. You weren't just answering questions for the sake of answering questions. There was like genuine thought and discussion put in, which I really appreciated. And I think, I mean, would you guys be a game for coming on some other time, either together or apart or something? Oh, hey.
Absolutely. I
There we are.
thoroughly enjoy getting to talk with all of you. So yeah, I'm down.
You've been hounding me to do this for like over a year now. You really want me to come
Literally.
back again? Oh,
Again.
No, it was literally last year's Ragfest. I think I talked to you both and was like, "Hey, we're wanting to do this thing," and then Merch Masters took 9 months. So, but
So in another 2 rags,
yeah.
we'll yeah.
sometime
No, that's fine.
later. Yeah. Tell you what,
But
yeah,
no.
I'll coach or no, I'll judge Merge Masters, and then you'll get me back in, and everyone will
You
be
know,
upset with my choices.
well, I'll be right here. We will have you on as a guest. As a guest, well, we don't judge; it's a community vote. But still,
don't
we'll still
judge.
drag you on, and we'll let
Darn
you
it.
talk about stuff. You can be like,
Yeah.
"That
Lines are too
one's
clean.
blue."
That one's blue. I don't like blue. Even though I'm
There is another event happening at the end of this year, possibly next year, that we would love to have you on for.
Ooh,
Oh,
But we
can
will
you
discuss
guess
that.
on that.
yeah,
We'll
yeah,
dis-
yeah.
Yeah, we can discuss more of that off screen and stuff.
Delightful.
So I don't pressure you guys
think I-
live.
I
You
think
guys-
I know what you're talking about, but
yeah.
yeah, we'll
Yeah.
Before we close, would you like to make a quick plug on that to kind of generate a little hype while we still have a few people watching?
Oh yeah. So end of this year, it's either going to be the last week or right before New Year's of 2025 or the first week of 2026. World's largest mod party. We're bringing it back. We just started the organization for it. It's going to get it's going to be at least a 36-hour stream. We're not doing 72 hours again because last time Adrian ran it and he was up for the full 72 hours. He started hallucinating. It was not good times, and I'm doing that this time. I'm the one in charge of the tech this time, so I'm not doing that. So we're looking at between 36 and 48 hours. We already have multiple countries across the EU, and Singapore and Australia all ready to go. I'm reaching out to others, and of course, US. We'll be reaching out to people, but yeah, that should be a thing. It will be weird. We will have tech issues because, of course, we will. But it should be a good time.
It's tradition.
Bringing the hobby together and entry points. The goal is we have a little bit of hopefully have a little bit of everything to show off. So and new people can kind of look at the hobby and go, huh, those guys are weird, but they're my type of weird. So
Yes.
I think I'll do that.
hopefully you don't show something that gets your stream taken down like in the first hour or something.
Oh, like last time?
I'm just referring to literally any stream nowadays. It's like it feels like it really is a crapshoot. You never know.
Yeah.
Well,
Probably want
last-
to do it on Twitch. Because
Oh, it will be on Twitch. We're gonna do Twitch. We're gonna
Perfect.
multi-stream it. We're gonna Twitch, YouTube, and I could
check my
technically get a
status.
TikTok key. I just don't want to do that. But all the
Oh,
kids,
man.
we got to be hip with the kids,
Don't
The
darken my
best
door with that.
comments. The best comments come from TikTok. I'm
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
sure.
The TikTokers,
Communities are formed
as they're
there.
called, love us.
I've finally started getting recommended like Nerf related videos on TikTok, and I am always underwhelmed with people
Yeah.
like what they're talking about. I'm like, this ain't my people. Like this
No.
is these are way too normy. I'm the
No.
problem. They're like, do you remember the ball guns? And I'm like, do I? This isn't bait. Do I?
Paul Sater.
How
Paul
far do I
Sater,
go
Paul
into
Sater.
Yeah, which one are you talking? Oh no.
But yeah,
Why
no,
is this hobby not growing?
we are.
Oh,
It's just the kids that are out of touch.
Mm.
But yeah, appreciate you guys for coming on and humoring us with my weird tech setup. It's much appreciated, and yeah, it was good. We
Have
did
to get
run.
together and take another group picture in another 8 years.
Yeah, we got
Yes.
to meet in an airport somewhere and
do it.
take another group picture.
we're not flying anywhere. We're just meeting for the picture.
Well, so I was joking that we do it
Somebody's gonna have
next
to fly, I
year,
guess.
but it would be. I think Brett would be the only one to fly, so we all pick up Brett from the airport, and
There we go.
Oh, we are
Yeah.
picking up Brett from the airport for Rag. okay.
Sounds like a great idea.
You missed
I'm
your
down.
opportunity.
yeah.
Well, I'd say
Uh,
next year.
Next. Okay, we will. See.
Yeah, next year.
Watch
Yeah.
him move back to the Bay Area next year. just to be like, now you can't get me.
No, we just go anyway for no reason.
We'll-
We
we'll
pay
just-
for parking at the airport, not having a flight or anything, because I'm driving up next year.
Flawless plan.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah. Any closing thoughts, remarks, words of wisdom you want to leave the people with?
Appreciate you having us on, and this was a lot of fun. Look forward to doing it again. And community is moving in a good direction, despite any negatives we may bring up. That's the thing to remember is we are growing. Just do what you can to help it grow.
Preach.
Nice.
I'm sorry. No, that was great words.
You don't like my
Yeah,
mini
we're-
fridge that I gave to Brett so he can easily store his drink in your garage?
Oh, keyed out. Hey, you little guy.
I got everything in here, man.
What you got in there? That's some pretty serious hammer
wired
space.
headphones.
Oh, vintage. Okay, I think we're losing everybody. Losing me
Yeah.
anyway. No, appreciate you guys.
Fridge-
Appreciate you guys for coming in, and hope to bring you on again. At the very least, we'll bug you at the next Ragfest or next big event or something like that. Also,
Yeah.
appreciate everybody who joined us in the chat. There's a whole lot of discussion that I'm afraid we kind of ignored a little bit, just because we were kind of focusing here. But appreciate your input and thoughts and everything, and your viewership, and we hope to see you guys in another fortnight.
Yep.
All
Till
right.
next
Looking
time.
forward to it.
Yep. Thank you guys for watching.
Have a good night.